today we're making some low-fat, sugar-free Christmas candy, and one batch of these clocks in at 728 calories per portion. It's 13 grams of proteins, 140 grams of carbs, and 14 grams of fat. And this is really easy to do. We're gonna melt 50 grams of butter, and here you can do these with brown butter, which is super as well. So if you want to do a brown butter version of this, all you need to do is stop here, brown your butter, and then add everything later on. So 50 grams of butter. To that we're gonna add a sweetener, and we are going to be using 50 grams of that. And we're also adding a fiber syrup, and we're adding 80 grams of that. Next step here, we're going to add 1 deciliters of low-fat cream, and that's 13% fat. And finally, all we need to do is add 1 tablespoon of vanilla extract. And you've probably made some sort of caramels before. If you haven't, all you need to do is melt up all of your ingredients and then bring this up to temp. And then bring this up to 125 degrees. That's roughly 257 Fahrenheit. And this takes quite a while because you need to evaporate all of the water and everything in order for it to actually rise above 100 degrees. So it takes roughly 30 minutes. And all we need to do is then we're going to crumble up some baking paper and put that in our mold. And as you may have noticed in the beginning, my caramels are quite thin, so if you want thicker ones, use something that's a bit smaller so you can build on height. And then all we need to do is cut the edges off and then just wait until it comes up to temperature and stir it every once in a while. And these differ somewhat from traditional caramels because they were quite melty when you touch them. So if you keep them in the refrigerator, you need them one at a time. That's super fine, it's not going to be a problem. But if you keep them out for a couple of hours or so, they were probably gonna stick together and become quite melty when you touch them. Otherwise, I think these were excellent and they are delicious. So I hope you try these. So now all we need to do is pour that on our baking paper, let that cool down for a couple of minutes, and after that, before we place it in the refrigerator, and I would highly suggest adding some Flaky Sea salt to this because that made it so much better. So if you make these, I would suggest adding some salt. And that's it. It's not more difficult than that. It's a relatively low calorie option to your Christmas candy. I've made this before. I'm gonna make them again. I think they're really good. So pop that in your fridge. Once it's cooled down a couple of hours later or next day, all you need to do is cut that into your desired size, and you can either wrap them or just pop all of them on a plate and eat them all at once like I did. So that's totally up to you. As I said, they have a tendency to melt a bit in your fingers, but otherwise they were not extremely chewy, they were very easy to eat, and I think they're super. So I hope you try them and I hope you enjoy. Thanks for watching.